deserve happiness. Order pizza tonight. It's game day. Give yourself a reason to live with Domino's. You haven't smiled in 1 calendar year. Buy pizza from us. Stop taking your meds and start choosing what you want from our new mix and match deal. Someone out there loves you, and it's Domino's CEO Bruce Donner.
Playoffs are on. Order some pizza. Welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. I'm Tess Mellis. Man in the middle, right beside me, it's Trey Kirby.
Hey-o.
Hey-yo. And the man making the magic happen, as he does always, it's JD.
Hello.
What's up, JD?
What's up?
Lots to get to. Basketball, I guess, is the primary focus here. The games.
Two games happened.
They were blowouts. So we'll talk about other drama in basketball, like the
right.
Sixers stopping Knicks fans from entering their building tonight in Game 6. That's fun. Chris Finch is going to coach for the Timberwolves in Denver. That is interesting.
From where?
Ooh, yes. That is a great question. And we might get the Roundball Rock back. Interesting stuff. But we'll start with the basketball that happened yesterday. Even though it was a spanker, I thought it was an interesting spanker that the Mavericks gave to the Clippers because Luka, he had said in the shoot-around, you know, I've got a knee sprain. I'm feeling a little ill. If this was the regular season, I wouldn't play. And then, boom. Monstrous game from Luka. He was great. 35, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. Mavs win by 30. What'd you make of that game, Trey?
Was it a rope-a-dope in this interesting spanker? Was it a rope-a-dope by Luka Doncic saying, yeah, my leg hurts. I can barely breathe. And then completely lighting up the Clippers. This was great stuff from Luka. I thought he had it all going, basically except for the jumper. You know, by my count, 9 of 11. At the rim or nearby, only 5 of 15 on jumpers. He only hit a couple of threes, 2 for 8. They came later on in the game, but it didn't really matter because he controlled the pace. He was picking his spots to get downhill, and when he had an opportunity, he was finishing in the lane. Obviously was dishing out for assists as well. Got a lot of those on three-pointers, and the Mavs just looked incredible in this one. It's kind of similar. Like Kyrie Irving had an awesome game for scoring 14 points and having 6 assists. Not huge numbers at all for Kyrie, I didn't think, but he moved the ball, he pushed the pace, and he was really competing defensively against James Harden, who had an absolute stinker. The Mavs just got good production from basically everybody. Derrick Jones Jr. did a really good job on Paul George, as did PJ Washington. PJ didn't score very well at all, but at least he was out there contributing. On the other end, Maxi Kleber hit a whole bunch of threes when the Mavs blew it open. Derek Lively was great. You know, Daniel Gafford, I thought, was struggling at the beginning of this game. Jason Kidd gives him the hook like 3 minutes in. Yeah. Just because he seemed to be losing Zubats inside, wasn't really rolling hard to the rim. Lively comes in and is the exact opposite. Dunks on his first possession, basically, that he was in there. Made plays. He was aggressive on the rolls. And then Gafford came back and he looked smooth as well. This was just an awesome win for the Mavs. And honestly, a big-time bummer for the Clippers. This could have easily be their last game playing in Crypto.com Arena. And they left nothing interesting about them in this one. Yeah, it was bad.
Paul George and James Harden combined to shoot 6 of 25, and they didn't get help elsewhere. While all those Mavs you mentioned, you can go up and down the roster, even if they didn't have spectacular lines, were locked in. I think it was because Luka was so locked in himself, especially defensively. He was just up on every single possession. He was willing to guard Harden at times. He was stone-faced, it felt like. It felt like LeBron stone-faced to some degree.
Sure.
We saw it a little earlier in this series where Luka did that. Usually he's a pretty demonstrative guy. Now he did that a couple times, but he was attacking the entire game. You said those 9 shots from in tight, 12 of 18 on 2-pointers. That's just fantastic stuff. Even if he wasn't spectacular from three-point line. You saw in the second quarter, he went like end to end at one point. He got a rebound and drove it all the way to the rim. When do you see Luka do that? I mean, they were playing fast, and maybe the couple days helped Luka and his knee and his sickness, or maybe it was a rope-a-dope.
He was less limpy in this game than he was during Game 4. Game 4, I thought he was limping around, so I was a little concerned coming into this one, especially he's talking beforehand. I probably wouldn't be playing had it been a regular season game. Then you saw like the crazy tape job they did on his leg. It looked like the symbiote from Venom or whatever, right? Isn't that what's that called, JD? Eddie Brock?
Symbiote.
That is correct.
Yeah, he gets taken over by the black goo and it's all creeping up his body. That's what his leg looked like.
Yeah.
The symbiote.
Maybe it works.
Symbiote?
Yeah,
that's how you pronounce it?
Something like that, yeah.
I just read that word.
Zendaya. I still honestly don't know which is the right one.
I know. I was thinking.
We need Esh back. He's the only one who knows.
I saw her in a photo of her and her new show, and I thought when you said it, because I thought I knew Zendaya. Pretty sure.
I think that's it.
I'm
pretty sure that's it.
Zendaya?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's like I said symbiote because I read it that way, and I never heard people say it.
There's no way to find out.
Yeah.
We need somebody under 30 to let us know how to pronounce Zendaya or Zendaya. And same for symbiote and symbiote. But that's what it looked like on Luka's leg, and apparently it worked because he was awesome in this one. And like you mentioned, he was giving it his all defensively. Kyrie Irving was diving on the floor in this one. He did get called for a foul, which maybe he shouldn't have, but at least he's given the effort out there. And really, the Mavs defense, I thought, was pretty special. And despite some good performances from Luka and the role players and Kyrie doing the winning basketball kind of stuff, it was the defense that won the game for the Mavs to me. They never allowed more than 24 points in a quarter, held the Clippers to 38% from the field, only 26% from three, forced 13 turnovers. They were great at the rim, 14 of 35 field goals shooting at the rim for the Clippers. So that's why it was very weird to me that going into the fourth quarter, that's like a 20-point game. Ty Lue dusts off PJ Tucker? You're down by 20? And you brought in PJ Tucker? The guy scored like 5 points the whole year. That didn't make sense to me, but he was just kind of reaching for anybody who was going to bring some energy in.
Right.
PJ did. As soon as that guy came in, I think 5 people fell on the floor.
As PJ Tucker does.
That's right.
But the Mavs just had persistence from the first minute, and they didn't stop. I mean, this wasn't a blowout game at the get-go by any means. It was single digits until right before halftime. It was, I thought, just the Luka effect. Everybody had to follow in line, and literally we can go all the way up and down the roster. Gafford coming back, Derek Lively. That combo was awesome, as you said, preventing shots at the rim. The team had 6 blocks. The Clippers had 0. And you could just look at it. Derek Lively, that block on PG, recovering on PG. I mean, he had to work. He had to work for that. And yet PJ Washington guarding Harden that time. He blocked him from behind. Another persistent block. I love the DJJ, Derek Jones Jr. with an awesome block on Harden. He starts sprinting, and Luka somehow hits him with a beautiful pass. I mean, all those guys were working, and James Harden, because of that defense, he didn't look like himself at all. The floater was gone that we saw in Game 4. The Mavs were obviously ready for him up and down the roster, but it was odd to see all those guys block him. I mean, they were like the PJ Washington, the Derek Jones Jr., they're blocking him. Luka took a chance. I mean, they didn't stop it. Again, you're right. Ty Lue said it was 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We're done. That's when he yanked. In a playoff game here. 7 minutes left. And that's because all those guys we mentioned were ready, and the guys like James Harden and Paul George, they did not look like themselves at all in this game.
Well, I mean, you could say that Harden looked like himself. Because when he has a great game, he might be having a stinker.
That's a very good point. Like last year in the playoffs.
Dropping a floater to dropping a stinker. 33 points in the Game 4 win. 7 points on 2 of 12 shooting in Game 5 here. That's just completely disappointing, but it's happened a lot of times. It's basically the exact same script as the Sixers-Celtics series last season when he was awesome in Game 1 and awesome in Game 4 and everything else was not there. But I mean, Paul George wasn't much better. 15 points on 4 of 13 shooting. He did have 11 rebounds, so he was doing other stuff at least, but he just seemed to want to get off the ball. I thought the same of Harden, like they were good. You take away me, I'll just pass it to another guy. They'll figure it out. The other guys never figured it out because these are the 2 guys that are supposed to figure it out. This was a absolute stink fest from the Clippers' 2 best players.
Yeah, you mentioned that. The only guys you could really have faith in that starting lineup for the Clippers were Terrence Mann was pretty good, Zubats was pretty good. That's why they yanked Daniel Gafford. But yes,
and I thought Norm Powell was hooping a little bit last night.
He was in his hooper mode.
Yeah. He made 2 guys touch Mother Earth. As Reggie said. That was hilarious.
Classic stuff. The Mavs are just able to find guys up and down this roster. Like when you look at the guys that we mentioned who contributed, obviously they got PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford at the trade deadline. I didn't know that this would work that well. I also didn't know that Derek Jones Jr. signed as a minimum contract would work this well. I mean, he had 12 points, 3 blocks in this game. They were all just ready to scrap around. The guys to scrap around. As you said, Kyrie Irving, I don't even believe that stat line really, because it just felt like he was so good out there.
Yeah.
And Luka, obviously. And it is the team that's up 3-2 that has taken this pivotal lead here. It feels like they're not going to give it up going back to Dallas, especially when you got Kleba just banging home threes the way he did. Maxey, the reason why they got out to that double-digit lead was because really Maxey just started shooting and he was on fire. 4 threes in the second quarter, was 5 of 7 from 3. He's 60% from 3 in this series. When they went to the conference finals, he was important. He was 43% from 3 in those 3 series. So that helps. Even though he doesn't have to play a lot, he just came out and played, and the team hit 14 threes. I don't know what to make of this stat that I wrote down, but it looks important. The teams that hit 14 threes or more in this postseason are 19-0 so far.
It's not a huge number. I mean, 14 is not huge.
Yeah.
But I know, like, you got to shoot threes.
Yeah.
Simply put, you have to shoot threes in the NBA right now. I think the stats are like, I don't know, teams are like 24-6 when they make more threes than their opponents in the playoffs so far. But it's also they're like 23-7 when they just shoot more threes than your opponent. Even if you can't shoot, just toss them up. They might go in.
Yeah, it didn't work for the Clippers in this one, obviously.
No, they had nothing. They had nothing in this game. It was the first time that they've looked bad without Kawhi playing because they've got their 2 wins when Kawhi was off the court, and the Mavs were like, maybe we were game planning for him. Now that he's not there, we're thrown off a little bit. That's certainly what they said after game 1, and then game 4 was the weird one. Up 31, blow it all, and then we come back hitting a whole bunch of floaters when Harden hadn't hit floaters all season. Now it looks fluky in retrospect, but maybe they're able to get it back in game 6 because the Clippers can obviously play better. They played better a few times this series. They played better when they were in Dallas, just in general. And, you know, it is game 6. You got to imagine they're going to do their best, but you're rolling the dice with James Harden in an elimination game.
Yes, and at home, as you said, could be their last game in Crypto Arena. You'd think you'd get more in a game that's supposed to be pivotal. And again, the Mavs just didn't stop. This was a single-digit game in the second quarter, and then they just kept going and going and going and going.
Yeah, this was the good game last night.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, let's get to the game, unless you have any other random notes from that one.
I did like Jamal Crawford on the broadcast on this one.
I agree.
I don't remember what the move was, but it was some Luka Doncic move where he said, you move, I move. I move, you move, just like that. I thought that was nice. They re-racked the same highlight coming back from the thing, and that's when he mentioned that it looked like Luka was playing with his headphones in. Great line.
Yes. Yeah, the broadcasts were good. Was definitely good. Jamal and Reggie were clicking. They were going 1-2 in that game. In another game, that was just a spanker right from the get-go. Boston took care of Miami in Game 5. They crushed them. It was a 34-point win. If you told me it was 50, 60, I would have said, okay. I would have believed it just because they were in control from the get-go in the first quarter. So they advanced to round 2. They are awaiting the winner of the Cavs Magic series. What to make from this Boston game where they clinched it 4-1 over Miami.
Not a ton of takeaways in this one, but you got to tip your cap to the Celtics. They had the advantage in this one with all the injuries for the Heat. No Butler, obviously. No Rozier, obviously. But even losing Jaime Jaquez was like a big deal for Miami since he initiates so much offense for them with those other 2 guys missing. So the Celtics went out. They saw the writing on the wall. They took care of business. They get to rest a little bit more. Doesn't mean that Kristaps Porzingis is coming back any quicker, but at least you get to chill out a little bit and get preparing for the next series. Great stuff by the Celtics. I think it just comes down to the Heat hit 23 threes in their 1 win. In Game 2, they hit 23 three-pointers, a franchise record. In the 3 games since, they hit 21 total, including 3 for 29 last night. You can't win like that. So easy stuff for the Celtics, but they made it easy on themselves, which I think is really cool. The other takeaway, I guess, Al Horford did fine, and the first center minutes went to Luke Cornett. And he did a really good job, I thought, on Bam Adebayo, competing on the defensive end. And I assume maybe it'll be matchup dependent, depending on if they play the Cavs or the Magic in round 2.
Yeah.
But it seems like Luke will probably get the first chance at being the backup center.
And deservedly so. He has been good this year, even though I couldn't stop talking about, did you catch that?
Yeah, there was a little thing floating.
You caught it. That was quick. Quick index to thumb pinch. That was very nice. Yesterday I was talking about Xavier Tillman and the acquisition because I loved watching him play, and he's better than what people think he is. And same goes for Luke Cornett, in all honesty. That block on Adebayo where he he manned him up. He stoned him and was able to block him. He was very talented. Is there any other worries after watching Horford and Kornet go at this one that Kristaps will be out? Could be for the entire series of round 2, no matter who they play.
It's hard to say. I mean, Bam is the only guy that the Heat have inside right now, and he's not like a dominating physical kind of player.
Yeah.
Always. I think that changes a little bit going forward because both the Cavs and the Magic like to play two bigs. You know, the Magic, I think, are a little bit more of a physical, hardy, big guys team, whereas the Cavs have some tall, slender dudes. So obviously you would like to have Porzingis back, but Horford, I think, can hang in either one of those matchups as the starter. He'll have to play more than 22 minutes. Not every game is going to be a blowout in that series. Well, I don't know. Maybe they will. Either of those teams can really score 100 points consistently, and the Celtics score 115 at the drop of a hat. So maybe they will be blowouts. But I thought Horford acquitted himself pretty well. 8 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He hit a 3. You know he's going to be in the right place defensively, even if he's not necessarily the rim protector he used to be or has the height of a Porzingis. But at least in round 2, I think the Celtics should feel pretty confident that Horford can slap back to the way he was prior to Porzingis coming around. He was the starter. He started a ton of playoff series for the Celtics, so it should be fine.
Yes, and it is wild that they literally have 4 centers that can play. Now that Mr. Porzingis is out, you can run Horford, you can run a little Kornet backup, or you can run Xavier Tillman. That is a lot of strength there. So they gave up the one game where they weren't getting out to the three-point shooters, and obviously the Heat were just banging them home. So I was expecting a little more from Tyler Hero yesterday, considering they don't have Butler, Rozier, or Jaime Jaquez. Unfortunately, he had a bad one in this one. The Celtics going directly at Tyler Hero, possession after possession after possession, was pretty clear, and they were doing a good job of that, whether it was Jaylen Brown or sometimes you get a big switch and having Hero on him. Anybody was going at him, and I guess that's what Tyler Hero's got to do in the offseason is go get stronger. If he can, because teams are going to do that.
Or go get traded.
Why do you say that?
What are the Heat doing here?
Yeah, well, definitely.
They've been the 8th seed back-to-back years. That's not a way to live. Sometimes you get out of the play-in tournament and go to the finals. Sometimes you lose Jimmy Butler in the game, in the play-in game. And that's why they couldn't compete in this series. The Heat are such a weird team, too, because they got a high payroll, but they're not top-heavy. Like, they lost Butler, and they lost the series. It was that easy because Hero is not consistent enough to be a takeover guy. He had an awesome game, too. Set his career high for assists. What was it, 14?
Yep.
He was looking incredible, and then the Celtics decided to really play defense going forward in games 3, 4, and 5. Bam, a great second player, an awesome defensive player, but not a takeover guy either. This is not what the Heat want to do. They don't want to be scrapping to even get into the playoffs and then have to win on the road. They need to upgrade. Especially Jimmy Butler is getting older.
Yes,
He's going to be a free agent after next season. He's extension eligible this season. They did make the finals twice, but they weren't close to winning the finals either time. So I'm thinking something's got to change with Miami, and you have to wonder if that means Hero will be in trade talks once again. Hawk has had a good season, so people will be interested in him. And Nikola Jovic, I think, seems like he belongs. At least he was able to stay on the court in this playoff series, so maybe that's another guy that people around the league could be interested in as well, because the Trailblazers weren't last year, right? They didn't want him back. They didn't want Hero and Jovic in the trade for Dame Lillard. So I don't know who it is, but Miami needs to get somebody else. Like, they're playing Kevin Love big minutes.
Yes.
They're playing Patty Mills. They started DeLon Wright. Doesn't make sense.
No, they are an expensive team, and Pat Riley always goes for it with the Miami Heat front office. So it's difficult to see a world where they say, "Nah, Jimmy, I think it's time we're done." They just went after Terry Rozier, who unfortunately didn't play in this one. But yeah, this season was a roller coaster. They thought that they could get Damian Lillard preseason, and it ended up being Terry Rozier. Jimmy Butler, as you said, he's going to be 35 in a few months.
Yeah.
He only has 1 year left on the contract. 35, being a Tibbs guy seems even older. You know, he hasn't able to play the entire season the last couple of years, so he is getting older. So it is interesting. You know, when they were in Game 3 and they had just tied up the series, and he was interviewed by Chris Haynes, he basically said, "Look, this was in the first quarter. He said, "We're going up 2-1. We're going up 2-1 tonight." So I wonder if he knows that this is his last season with the Miami Heat. Basically, he's like, we got to win. But something, yes, needs to be done. I just wonder if Pat Riley even is the kind of guy to say, we're changing it, or if they're going to roll it back one more time. But yes, they have changed. No Jaime Jaquez in this one. That hurt, obviously. DeLon Wright starting. So they needed something from Hero, a lot from Hero, and that didn't happen.
Do you think Boston cares who they play in the next round? Cavs or Magic?
Yeah, good question. I doubt it. I doubt that they really care. I guess there's the challenge of the Cavs that Mitchell can go off, but they have, like, I was looking at Drew Holiday, who had a bad series shooting the ball.
Yeah.
He was literally, I think their 6th leading scorer. He will probably guard Donovan Mitchell at all times, and that's why they got him. Yep. So I don't think that would be a problem. But I bring that up because it seems like the Cavs have more offensive options, because to match this Boston team, you just got to have guys that can score. And Drew can probably do a good job on Donovan Mitchell. And you're beside Derek White, who is probably the most consistent Boston Celtic in this series. You can call him the best player, as Stan Van did on the broadcast yesterday.
He was great.
Maybe. So they're rolling. I don't think they really care all that much is what I'm getting at, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they will be massive favorites in both of them. But the Magic have played the Celtics pretty well the past couple of seasons. I think they took 1 win off them this year in 3 games, but they beat them 3 times last season. Obviously, the Celtics have changed since then. And the Magic last year were like a 35-win team. Would have been easy for the Celtics to overlook them, but Celtics should be favorites, I do believe, in round 2, regardless of who makes it out.
All right, before we move on to other things going on in the league, any random notes from this game that you want to get to? Perhaps?
I saw that the Celtics got dunks from Sam Hauser and Luke Cornett in this one. That's how you know it's a blowout. Sam Hauser got a dunk in a half-court set, pump faked in the left corner and finished at the rim. He had more dunks than I was expecting this NBA season. I think he had 9 this season, but the Celtics have had a lot of blowouts and a lot of space on the court, so it makes sense.
That's a nice note.
Yep.
That's a nice random note.
Just a nice little note for you.
Derek White hitting a basket and then almost doing like a John Cena sort of thing, looking at his right hand. Like right hand, he is right-handed. So I found that funny. Like, and
that was after a dunk, I think, right? Like when he went down the lane.
Oh, was it?
He was definitely looking at his hand, and all the bench was doing it as well.
Yeah,
must be their thing.
Must be their thing. Derek White was awesome in this series. Spectacular stuff from the Boston Celtics. All right, moving on. We got some news. I'm already calling it. This segment is this news? But I'm calling it it's news. Let's get to it. Multiple topics. First one is from ESPN because Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch, he was hit by Mike Conley at the end of the Timberwolves series there. Booker hit him. Conley hit him. He went down. He was hurt. He had to have surgery on his knee. But potential good news here. He plans on traveling to Denver to be there for game 1 and likely be on the sideline if he can be in some sort of wheelchair where he can have a straightened leg, because the leg has to be straightened. So interesting stuff. So is this news, Trey?
You told me it's news. You said this segment, these are all news, and I agree with you. This has got to have a little bit of impact, right? Having your coach be questionable for the game, not knowing really where he's going to sit. I think Mike Inori is a good coach. He's got the greatest one-liners in sideline interview history. Like, there's compilations floating around on YouTube. They're very funny. He seems to be a good coach. I didn't know he was a baseball guy to begin with. There's a great article by John Krasinski up on The Athletic explaining like how he came up as a baseball guy, and then Butch Carter was like a family friend and hired him to the Raptors. He coached with the Raptors for a little bit, then went back to be a hitting coach in college, then back to the NBA. Crazy stuff. But this team has been together 2 years. The Timberwolves have, basically, with in the Gobert era. The staff, Chris Finch's staff, Mike Inori, a part of it, has basically been together 3 years. So I think they will be able to figure things out. But between the surgery, the recovery, figuring out where he's going to sit, things are a little up in the air. I think for the Timberwolves, you would obviously rather have your coach sidelines being able to talk normally, because they're saying they're considering seating configurations that would allow him to safely be on the bench. Like you're saying, needs to have his leg extended because it's not always safe on the sidelines, as Chris Finch found out. But if they can't make that setup work, Finch would likely join the team in the locker room for pregame and halftime meetings and watch the action from above in a suite. He said he didn't want to be texting thoughts down from above, down to below to the sideline. So you're not getting your coach's insights except for at the beginning of the game and at the middle of the game.
Yeah.
That could be tough in a series that's obviously going to be pretty close with the Nuggets.
Yeah, when you say it that way, it sounds like an NFL game where you've got the defensive coordinator up in the press room talking to the head coach or talking to the QB. I wonder if that happens in the NBA. Probably not in this instance, but I did like seeing what Mike Conley said. He said, if Mike Inori has to take over, he's different than Chris Finch. He's a little bit more funny and a different personality, so they would definitely respect Mike Inori, as we all do if we watch a Timberwolves game and see him do the halftime interview. Quite often you get the assistant coach being interviewed by the sideline reporter, and he's a funny guy. Butch Carter, I didn't realize that it was Butch Carter who brought him in. Maybe Mike Inori will bring back Butch Carter from his Raps days.
He gets to bring a coach with him?
Yeah, because
I like that.
He hasn't coached since the Raptors for like 20 years, I think. All right, next topic from CNBC. This is interesting. NBC Sports could buy back rights to the theme song we all know, Roundball Rock, if it airs NBA games again, according to composer John Tesh. John Tesh
According
is the
to John
inside
Tesh
man.
himself.
Yes.
He is pumped.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he is.
So this has got to be news, I imagine. I mean, it's not news
I don't
because
know.
it's not news.
I don't know.
Yeah.
This one might not be news.
All right.
But it could be news.
It could be news.
This is 2 steps removed from news, because first NBC has to get the contract and then they have to pay for Roundball Rock. And if NBC were to get it, they absolutely have to do this, right? Like that's like one of the things people are most excited about.
Yeah.
NBC getting back into the rights game for the NBA is possibly playing Roundball Rock. But it made me think, why doesn't Warner Brothers just buy it? He's obviously willing to sell the rights to it to anybody. Fox has it for college basketball.
Yeah.
You see it in a Kevin Hart commercial right now.
Yeah.
I know they have their own music.
Mm-hmm.
I know a man, he's a very nice man. That's the Turner one or the Warner Brothers one.
Well, there's one better. The one you just said, Roundball Rock. You're like, why wouldn't you get Roundball Rock? Yeah.
Why wouldn't you get Roundball Rock?
Yes.
He's got to sell it.
Yes. I'm looking forward to hearing it again. You're totally right. It would be like Hockey Night in Canada. They sold their rights to the Hockey Night in Canada theme song. Dun, 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 dun. As soon as Sportsnet took over, they went and got the rights. That's the move here.
That's the move.
Yeah, and John Tesh, I'm sure, would sell it, I imagine.
I think he's in. Yeah.
I think he's
Why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't he? Yeah.
I guess that's why he brought it up, that he said, if NBC comes back and gets it, I'll sell it to them. Yeah. Or is he selling it, or he's just getting the...
License it? Yeah, who knows what the deal is.
Well, if NBC... I can't believe that NBC don't hold the rights for it. Like, one of those, hey, here's $500, unknown John Tesh. Well, he was hosting Entertainment Tonight at the time. He wasn't really known for being a new age composer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I can't believe that they don't already own the rights. That's crazy to me.
You're saying they can just go to any musician and just copy the Roundball Rock? Can't do that.
You can't copy it, but they should have bought it outright at the beginning.
Yes, absolutely.
But hey, well, good for Teshi.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big win for Tesh here.
Big win for Tesh.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's the theme song that I remember over all these other ones that have been playing forever. So, good stuff, Tesh. All right,
I also think that were NBC to get it, another cool part of their broadcast was Bob Costas giving you a trailer for the game. You know, it's like, okay, we got the Knicks playing the Bulls. Little kids, when they go outside to play basketball, they pretend to be Michael Jordan. Beautiful twinkling pianos in the background. Bring that back. That gets you fired up for a game.
Nice stuff. You're making news here. Yeah, that would be a good way to start broadcasting.
Just a few notes here.
Matt Ishbia had some notes. Our next topic is from The Athletic about Suns owner Matt Ishbia, who met with the media. He said, "We're not in a good position. We're in a great position." Even though they just got swept in the playoffs by the Minnesota Timberwolves, he said 26 teams would trade for our situation. And the interesting part, he said he'll meet with Frank Vogel next week. He didn't ensure that Frank Vogel would be back. He also didn't say he would be fired. So is this meeting news?
I think this is news. The 26 teams definitely caught me off guard because after this round, there will be 8 teams left in the playoffs. So, math-wise, to me, 22 would be the maximum you could go, you know?
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know. But the Suns, they did win 49 games. They finished 9th in net rating. It's just the fact that they have all-stars at the top of their roster. That looks like a disappointment. And, of course, getting swept in the playoffs, it's hard to be encouraged after that season, even if you had an okay regular season where you can make some excuses about health, though I ran down how everybody's had basically their healthiest season in 5 years on yesterday or a couple of days shows. But,
that's a good point, yeah.
I guess, I don't know. The Vogel question is the first question I imagine will be addressed for the Suns after they do all these exit interviews and stuff, and maybe they're waiting to see how things go in the Clippers Mavericks series, because when I'm looking at coaches who are available, Ty Lue is going to be the guy that everybody wants if he actually becomes available during the summer. I think that could include the Lakers if they move on from Darvin Ham because he's got that relationship with LeBron from the Cleveland days. It could certainly be the Suns as well, because Lue is known as an adjustments guy and as a relationships guy, which is two things that the Suns would absolutely need. After that, it's like Mike Budenholzer, maybe that could be somebody that entices the Suns, though he's not necessarily known as a creative offensive coach, which I think they certainly needed because the defense showed up after Frank Vogel took over here. Other than that, it's like assistants, though the Suns are losing one of their assistants to Brigham Young. Mike D'Antoni is like a name that I always think of as a coach who's available. That guy's 72 years old right now. Can't imagine Kevin Durant playing in a 7 seconds or less system, really. So I don't know that there are a lot better coaches out there than Frank Vogel for a team that's trying to win a championship. And when your payroll is this high, you're obviously trying to win a championship. So maybe Vogel sticks around, but the team is hard to change because of the payroll, because of the second apron coming into effect. The team building just becomes a lot harder. So the Suns have a lot of decisions to make here, and their owner is saying they're pretty confident in where they're at. You do have 3 stars at the top. That's a good place to start. It'd be nice if they fit better, if you could add pieces to it, though.
Yeah, and he was saying, as we mentioned, that 26 teams would want their position. He also was very clear as to what they have to trade. He said they have 5 draft picks over the next 8 seasons that we could trade that could enhance their ability to help out their entire roster. But he basically said we're coming back with the same team in a way. But he also said, do we have enough continuity? There's a lot of things we can look at. Do we have the right leadership in place? Is that a coach reference? I'm not sure.
Maybe, yeah.
Or are they trying to go get somebody else in the locker room, which kind of contradicts him saying we're running with the same starting 5 again. Now, these are all just words. Maybe he wants to break up the starting 5 or trade somebody like, one of the 4th or 5th guys rather than Beal, Booker, and Durant. Maybe trading Grayson Allen for a guy who's incredible on the defense, can handle the ball a little bit more, just to give him a different attitude, because he did say, do we have the right leadership in place? I did find not only his interview interesting as far as what he was saying, but also James Jones, who's in their front office. He said, quote, I actually think chemistry is built through fire. So maybe the fire of them getting swept helps. And Bradley Beal was the only guy who's really talked so far, although Ishbia is going to talk to a bunch of them next week. He said, we just haven't played enough together, basically, is what he said. So maybe they come back for next season.
And maybe they're able to get better guys on veteran minimums this year. That kind of happens when teams get thrown together, super team style, and the first year it's like, we've got the guys that are here, we've got the guys we can scramble and get. After the first year, maybe you look at the Suns and you're like, okay, I can talk myself into trying to chase a championship there, and you get some better veteran minimum players rather than guys who are like the 10th man for the Kings.
Yeah, who they were trying to put around, the big 3 in Nurkic was a guy like Josh Okogie, a guy who can play defense. But we just talked about Derrick Jones Jr. with the Dallas Mavericks, who was signed on a minimum and a decent 3-point shooter this season. Not great, but decent 3-point shooter and can play defense. So you're right. Somebody a little bit better on the minimum contract side. All right, last topic here. The 76ers are stopping Knicks fans from controlling their building, if you want to put it that way. Michael Rubin tweeted, Josh Harris, David Blitzer, David Adelman, and I just bought more than 2,000 tickets for Sixers Game 6. We absolutely cannot let Knicks fans take over our arena again. Is this news?
This is news. This is good news and funny news that they had to go out and get 2,000 tickets. That's 10% basically of the Wells Fargo Arena. I guess they have 21,000 seats. So 10% of those tickets basically are going to working class Philadelphians. That's all right. Going to tip the scales a little bit. Maybe it'll only be 60-40 Philly fans to Knicks fans, because obviously Knicks fans are still going to go to the game. They're still going to be able to get some of these tickets on the secondary market because they're much cheaper than they are to go to a Game 7 at Madison Square Garden. I think this is smart of the Philly leadership to do this after Joel Embiid called him out, and you want to have a home court advantage when you're playing at home. You don't want to have the other team be dissing your MVP and bigging up their own MVPs, celebrating in your concourse. There still will be a lot of Knicks fans there, though, but at least it should be more Philly focused, I would have to imagine.
I guess when you look at it, it's slightly disappointing that he has to go buy 2,000 seats from.
Okay, fair point. There was 2,000 tickets available.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a little scary.
That's weird.
That is weird. And Knicks fans will be there still tonight. It's a late start for everybody going into that building, at 9 local start. But it is a good sign. It is a good move for them. TBD if they actually see a game where the Sixers are able to survive here, because they almost didn't. It was super close. And I believe the Knicks will be fighting in Philadelphia after kind of giving that game away in Game 5.
Yeah, it was a wild ending. I've got my eyes on you, Joel Embiid. Needs to have a good game tonight. I give him a lot of props. This dude is playing through an injury. He obviously came back. Sixers went 8-0 to end the season. He even got him into the play-in tournament, got him in a nice spot to get to the 7 seed here. Had a 50-point game after some flagrant fouling out there.
Right.
But he basically got saved by Tyrese Maxey in Game 5, because if Embiid had the stinker, a 9-turnover game that he did, and the Sixers got eliminated, you're not looking as favorably on the way he's been a warrior playing through these injuries, the Bell's palsy, the symptoms from that, including the migraine that he had prior to Game 5. So I think after calling out the fans in Game 4 and then not having a great game in Game 5, this is a big one for Joel Embiid, and they need him to be good to win this and maybe force a Game 7.
You're right. When you look at the stats, and yes, he put up a 50 spot when he had not only the free throws coming, but also the three-pointers were banging home. Otherwise, he hasn't shot the ball all that well. He did have, pretty decent shooting night in Game 2, but as far as 3 balls go, that was the only game where he shot it well. And yeah, he has to overcome, a decent amount, as you said, everything that he is overcoming, but he needs to play better. Tyrese Maxey definitely bailed him out. And maybe we see Tobias Harris shoot beyond the first few minutes of the game, like he likes to do.
He's a first quarter killer right now.
And they need something. And we need something for this show, because it was a light show in the NBA. I'm just trying to make a transition to your great questions you sent in. Let's get to one of them. Let's hit that beach.
You got the buzz, I got the rockets. You got the nuts, I got the chocolates. We got that chit chat down pat, blah blah blah. You got that certain special, je ne sais quoi. Let's go to the beach, baby. I could give you a ride.
Let's hit that beach before we get to tweet of the night. We'll get to one of them, even though you guys sent in a bunch, because I'm interested to hear your take on this one. What your answer is for this one. Knicks fan here. What is the worst loss you've all suffered as a fan? That comes from B-Ball God's blog, not a block. B-Ball God's blog.
That's hard to say. Bob Loblaw's log blog. B-Ball God's blog. Man, you can tell it was a light night in the NBA because we're playing every intro we got.
Yeah, definitely.
We got a lot of segments going on here.
And we got some more clips coming.
Yeah, only one question. I got 2 answers for you, because my worst loss was a win. April 28th, 2012, the Bulls beat the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 1 of the first round.
Right.
But with 1:22 left, the Bulls up 12, Derrick Rose blew out his knee. I was watching at 628 Fleet Street. I'll never forget it. Bulls had the best record in the NBA that season and the season prior. This was Jimmy Butler's rookie year. Instead, Derrick Rose blows out his knee. The Bulls lose that 8-1 series to the Sixers. Rose sat out the whole next season, played 10 games in the 2013-14 season, then tore his meniscus and was out for the year. April 28th, 2012 was when the Bulls' championship chances really ended after the dynasty era, and that's the only time they've really been in the mix at all since 1998. So yeah, that was a huge loss for me. Even the Bulls, though the Bulls did go on to win that year. Can you imagine if Derrick Rose and Jimmy Butler actually got to grow together and play together? That backcourt would have been incredible, because the way it happened was Rose was the youngest MVP in league history. He was obviously the face of the franchise, being a Chicago guy there, great player. But when he got hurt, Jimmy Butler really ascended. He became a great player for the Chicago Bulls. When Rose came back, he wanted to be the same old Rose that he always was. But Jimmy Butler's like, no, I'm the man now. Mm-hmm. It didn't work out between the two of them, but what if they were actually able to be on a path together? Bummer stuff. My worst actual loss, though, game that was lost April 22nd, 2022. I flew home to see the Bulls' first home playoff game in 5 years, and they lost by 30 to the Milwaukee Bucks. Worst Bulls home playoff loss ever. Literally their worst playoff game, and it cost me several $100s to even watch it, but I'll never forget you, Tony Bradley. 10 points, 5 for 5 from the field, plus 5 in the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. Yeah, we stayed the whole time, Tass.
Garbage time.
Yeah, garbage time, Tony.
Tony Bradley, shout out.
He should have started.
Yeah,
couldn't handle him.
That was a series, a first round series where you get spanked by 30 to open it.
And it was bad too, because the Bulls won game 2 in Milwaukee. They hadn't won a game in Milwaukee, I think, since Giannis had become Giannis. They actually knocked him off in game 2. I think DeRozan had 41 points. Chris Middleton got hurt in that game too, so people were like, ooh, the Bulls have a chance here. Mm-hmm. They didn't have a chance. They lost by 30. It was bad.
It was bad.
I got on the Jumbotron, though. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that was cool.
That was awesome. We're all like, so, yeah, look at it, there we are. And then we looked down at the score. The Bulls were down by 9 in the first, 3 minutes. We're like, uh-oh, this could get bad. It got worse.
Thought you might turn it around there.
No, that was the peak. Getting to the game, seeing us on the Jumbotron, the final 40 minutes were tough.
Yeah, mine's sort of related in that it's completely biased as well. We were all at Game 5 of the Toronto Raptors hosting the Golden State Warriors in the 2019 Finals. They're up 3-1, and they were up late in this game. Nick Nurse calls a timeout, and then things just fall apart. Golden State wins. Now, the Toronto Raptors go on to win Game 6, so it seems like I'm being totally biased here because we were at a game where NBA TV sent us all there, all of us there as they were.
Well, not all of us, Taz.
Well, sorry, excuse me. Yeah.
Still salty.
Still salty? I apologize. This is the worst loss for JD as well. No, that they won the championship, obviously. And that was their, I guess, for some of us, their package to go as we also lost our jobs very shortly.
Talk about bittersweet.
Yeah, very shortly after.
Raptors win the next day.
Yeah.
We're shit canned.
Yeah.
You guys can work here until the Raptors win the championship.
Yeah. That was a wild one. That was
a weird thing to write into our contracts in retrospect.
Yeah.
If the Raptors win the championship, you can't work here anymore. We thought it would never happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all me totally being subjective here because the week prior I was supposed to go watch the last game of the Eastern Conference Final, Toronto at home to Milwaukee. I'd never seen a freaking Raptors win in the playoffs. I mean, an actual good one. I was supposed to fly home. I made the dumb move of getting on standby list because why would you do that? So
You wanted to go earlier? Or
he didn't want to pay. He didn't want to pay.
Well, yeah, I just had a friend who had got me on a standby list of a flight 6 months prior, and I thought, well, that was easy.
Yeah.
Sure,
I'll do it again. So I had paid for a flight, and then I said, you know what? I'm gonna rescind. Going to get the refund and say, yeah, I'll go on standby list. But unfortunately, there were some ATL airport problems the night before, so everybody carried over until the next day. So I was just sitting there. But then I bought, because I was sitting there and I waited for 4 flights that didn't happen, I bought a flight at 3 p.m. that day. And because I was already in the airport, I just stayed there and I didn't actually go up to the kiosk desk for 60 minutes. There is a limit. You have to be there at least 60 minutes prior. And they didn't know I had been
because
there.
You didn't pass through security.
Yeah, because I didn't pass through security again, so I didn't go up to the kiosk. So they didn't. They put all the standbys for that flight.
Standby person took your paid flight after you missed 3 flights.
Yeah, and a bunch of So I really should have just gone up to people. I should have approached people and said, "This is the story. Maybe you can get on the standby for the next flight. Can I take your seat if that's possible?" I mean, I literally. You couldn't do that by changing names, or actually through the ticket, but I could have literally just said, let me just take your seat. Let me just walk in for you, sir. But how the hell would you do that, actually?
No,
take their passport?
Yeah.
That would be really weird. Anyway, all that to say, I didn't see any games. I drove home after being at the airport for 10 hours and watched them win. So that was bittersweet.
Nice.
Yeah. And then, game 6 of the finals where they went on to win as well. Also kind of bittersweet as we watched that at home. Wasn't the same as being in Toronto where we could have gone buck nutty, but we would have produced some, not you, JD, but everybody else would have produced some stuff for TV as well that night. It would have been fun.
Would have been hanging with Nav Bocce all night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Say love you.
It would have been a great night. Anyway, from there, tweet of the night.
Tweet of the night. Wow.
Tweet of the night. It's from baseball. What? This one comes to us from @MLB, Major League Baseball. It's a video clip. You're not going to believe it.
Slides on the dirt or is able to. That's a different play.
Drilled down the right field line. That ball is fair. Well, look at it. It's stuck in the grating.
There's the proof. I've never seen a wedgie home run like that.
Wow.
I've seen it in the NBA where the ball gets stuck in the hoop, but that was a wedgie.
Yes.
That was a wedgie.
There's a wedgie. They call things wedgies in baseball.
The full NBA shout out, too. I thought that was incredible. Oswaldo Cabrera with the big dinger. Fred Katz was messaging me. I said, is Oswaldo Cabrera any good? He said he's an okay, hard-playing young player who might stick but also might not. He's like Miles McBride, but 3 months ago. I don't know if that's true, but he got a wedgie. It's been a long time since we've had one in actual basketball.
This is true.
Maybe we should count it.
Yeah, that's a good point. But people are starting to notice in baseball that there are wedgies in basketball. This is another clip that we have from a couple years ago in a baseball game.
My buddy Ian Eagle, who does basketball in the NBA and college basketball, when a basketball is stuck between the rim and the backboard, he calls it a wedgie.
Let me see that.
And I think we got our baseball version of it here. They got it.
I'm seeing wedgies everywhere.
Got it.
They gave the credit to Eagle, who deserves the credit.
He's a big wedgie caller.
Yes, for
I
sure.
didn't know who the broadcaster was. Amazon Prime Baseball. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're
got everything.
The Phillies broadcast there. Yes, it's happening, but wedgies are happening in baseball everywhere. Sometimes, as we've kind of covered over the last couple of years, baseballs will get wedged in a wall occasionally.
Like the padding between the wall.
The padding, exactly. So it happens. It's just nice to hear Eagle get some props, as we sometimes do as well.
And I'll say, look, we haven't had a wedgie since we hit number 60. That home run would be number 61. Roger Maris, New York Yankee, 61 homers.
Oh, the Yankee
the record
tie-in.
for a long time.
Very
Just
nice.
saying.
Very nice.
Should we count it? Only if we don't get another one for the whole year. Retroactively count it.
We are at our all-time record, though, right?
Yeah, we are. We are. We're living large. They're happening in other sports now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
A lot of wedgies out there.
8 days though. It's been. Maybe this weekend.
Or tonight, where we have Bucks Pacers and Knicks 76ers, as we said there. Get there early or get there late, because the Pacers game locally, it's 5:30. The 76ers game locally, 9 o'clock. That's the schedule. Also, the Maple Leafs are hosting the Bruins tonight.
Ooh.
It'll be nutty there in, not Jurassic Park, Leafs Square, as they call it there.
Okay.
Because they're down 3-2.
Must win.
Must win. Yeah, must win. They want it to make it 3-2. I don't know if Austin Matthews is playing tonight, but he didn't play when they made it 3-2.
See, he's like the Joel Embiid of the Leafs?
No. He plays hard. He plays every game.
Except for last game?
Yeah, except for last game. He did get hurt, but not in the same way as Embiid. He scored 69 goals this year.
Well, I mean, Joel Embiid was the leading scorer when he went out.
That's true. That's true. Good.
Wow. We might have some parallels here.
Embiid.
Let us know, hockey fans.
No idea. All right, that is
Literally
it for
no
us.
idea.
No idea. Austin Matthews, great dude. Great. He almost scored 70. I hear lots of good things from the people who love hockey in Toronto.
That's great, yeah.
Apparently he's incredible. Austin with an O. Okay. Anything else to add?
Wait, it's Austin with an O?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh,
no,
like
no, A-U-S-T-O-N.
O-N, okay.
That's my spelling.
There
Matt
was that
Austin.
Survivor guy.
Oh, yeah.
With the Matt Austin spelling. O-S-T-E-N.
That's his first name?
I think there was, yeah.
Yeah.
Way back when.
Interesting. All right. Well, I don't know if that's your quote, but Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. And for clarification, it's Symbiote and Zendaya.
Okay.
Locked in forever.
I think I'll forget that.
Probably
in
me
5
too.
minutes.
Yeah.
Symbiote and Zendaya.
You nailed it.
See you tomorrow, everybody.